Welcome back to phase 2 of the June Jump Off, the Kung Fu Mac Attack WMAC Masters Martial Artists for Solidarity panel. As I promised, I ain't lied yet. As I promised, we've got with us Willie the Bam Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, Hakim the Machine Alston, and just joining us from the West Coast, the Panther himself, Erik.
What's going on,
ladies
guys?
and gentlemen. They're coming in as I speak. All right, so get ready to get excited. We're going to talk about the entity that started it all. It started it all. Before we had American Gladiator, before we had all the stuff, the Power Ranger, everything you see right now, the WMAC Masters, man, started it out. But most of all, it brought together various styles, various cultures, various personalities. But at the end of the day, everybody still had respect. Everybody still operated with honor. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to my host and moderator for the day from the Kung Fu Drive-In podcast. You know him, Mr. Jeff Vita. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate you. I'm going to bring in everybody else as they come along, but we are so excited and grateful to have the guest that we have with us, and I'm going to let him take the conversation from here. Go ahead, my brother.
Thank you, Demetrius. Guys, it's great to be here with you. For a lot of kids in my generation, getting to talk to the WMAC Masters is a huge honor. So thank you all for taking some time out to talk. I'm going to introduce everybody here right now, and hopefully we're going to get a couple more guests to come in. But Willie the Bam Johnson, Erik the Panther Betts, Hakim the Machine Alston. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you guys here. We're going to be talking about the WMAC Masters. It's, like Demetrius said, an entity that predated a lot of things that are prevalent in martial arts entertainment now. But let me start with you, Master Bam. How did you get involved with WMAC Masters to begin with?
It was the season I was #1 on NASCAR and Chinese Forms and Weapons. And God bless his soul, my man, Yin Yang Man, Richie Brandon. You know, we had just finished the cover shot with Karate Illustrated. And he said, Bam, guess what, man? At the battle, they're going to be doing a TV audition, a movie audition, something like that. And I had just won my division. And in the room, they just had a big meeting. And everybody was there, including Hakim and all of us, man. And, you know, it happened. But I didn't think it was really going to happen. You know, you sign a piece of paper, you're like, you know. And you keep doing what you're doing, and it just manifests, man. So I was blessed for that opportunity, but that goes back to my brother, God bless his soul, Richie Brandon. During that time, we all were brothers and sisters, regardless of how hard we competed against each other. We still were real brothers and sisters with respect for martial artists. That goes back to Richie Brandon.
That's awesome. And Hakim, since Master Bam mentioned you, how about you? How did you get involved with all of this?
I mean, it was a little turnout, but I think a lot of the genesis were the same for at least 2 separate groups. For myself, again, coming from the NASCAR circuit, you know, Pat Johnson approached me. This is actually prior to the battle with the other tournament. So we're putting together this project, and we're developing this character. We would love to have you be a part of it as one of the central characters. And again, this is something that was brand new. So similar to what Bam had said, we were not, you know, I was not like 100% sure this was going to happen. But again, when Pat said, let's jump, at that point in my career, I was like, okay, how high? Let's do it. So it was a tremendous beginning. And I think that surprisingly, the impact has been a lot more prevalent than I thought it was. I think we took it for granted a little bit. At least I know I did in the beginning.
Yeah. And we're definitely going to touch on that. I want to take a second to welcome Christine Bannon-Rodriques, Lady Lightning herself. Christine, thanks for jumping on with all of us. I'm gonna get to you. We're asking how you guys got involved with the WMAC Masters to begin with. I'm going to go to Erik Panther Betts, and then Christine, I'll have you jump in at the end of that. Erik, let me know how you got involved with this craziness.
You know what? I just literally got my microphone started on. So tell me what the question was one more time.
Not a problem. I just wanted to find out how you got involved with the WMAC Masters in the very beginning.
Wow. First of all, I can finally hear you guys. So hi, everybody.
Hey, guy. What's up?
What's up, buddy?
What's up, Christina? Hey, so listen, back in 1993, there was something called NatP. It was a convention being held in Miami. I was out there doing, we were publicizing Power Rangers. And I saw different people were putting on different shows and events to kind of promote their project and concept ideas. And Norman, the producer of WMAC, he had, I guess, shot something at Universal City Walk or Universal Studios with a couple of guys. And we were like, we watched it, we thought it was okay. And we were like, maybe you should do it more like this. And we gave him this cool demonstration of what it could be like. He got excited. He said, all right, I'll leave your contact information and we'll reach out to you guys. I kind of thought I'd never hear from them again. And probably about 2 or 3 months later, contracts were sent in the mail and the rest was history.
Good piece of history too. Christine, again, thank you for joining us. How about you? How did you get recruited by the WMAC Masters?
Similar. You know, I was very good friends with Mr. Pat Johnson, and you know, I was actively competing at the time and was ranked #1 at the time. And he called me and he said, you know, we're putting together the show, and it's made up of, you know, top competitors. We have Olympic, you know, world champion, gold medalist, and we have, you know, people from different styles, and would like you to be part of the show. And I was like, yeah, sure. It sounded great. And when I heard who the other cast were, I was very excited because, you know, a lot of us already knew each other and competed against each other. And, you know, it was just, it was a lot of fun, and I was very excited to be part of it.
Yeah. Now, speaking of those different styles, the WMAC Masters put a spotlight on diversity, not just of martial artists, if you just look at the cast, but also in the martial arts itself. Was there a sense at all from all of you guys of opening up exposure to the different styles to a larger audience, or was it really just about being as entertaining as possible? Christine, let me have you start us off.
I think I don't think that was the main goal, but it definitely did open people's eyes to the different styles. We had, you know, sport karate, and we had taekwondo and kung fu, and, you know, just a lot of different styles, kickboxing. So I think it really opened people's eyes to the different styles that were out there, but we all came together to try and win that Dragonstar, regardless of what our style was. So I think, you know, I don't think that was the main goal, but I think it definitely did do that.
Yeah, definitely. Erik, what about you? What was your perspective on that?
It's interesting. I always felt like I was ridiculously honored to be even considered to be in that space, because I came from a self-taught environment. I never got to, you know, my mom couldn't afford to put me in martial art classes in single parent household. And so to find myself even in that room at the time was awesome. I learned martial arts by, believe it or not, going to free trial lessons. And in Boston, there were a lot of martial arts schools around. So my mom kind of figured out different areas, and we did a 1 mile radius, 3 mile, 5 mile, and just kept going out doing classes as many places as she could stand driving me to. With regards to your question though, man, it's I don't, like Christine said, I don't believe it was necessarily the intention of it, but yes, they absolutely brought so many different styles together, different ethnicities, the inclusion of it all. It was definitely ahead of its time by far.
Hakim, how about you? Even though it may not have been the intention of the show, was there something in you as a martial artist where you were like, you know what, this is a chance for me to showcase my style and give it a little bit of exposure?
I mean, the question. I mean, I guess let me answer the question first, and then I want to dive a little bit deeper. I think that if I had to put my spin for the show itself, they were looking for characters. They were looking for individuals who can bring a nice mix of entertainment, as well as almost authenticating the martial arts in regards to the competitiveness, champions, and as well as the styles. I think that for myself, I was a little more, I guess, intrigued with the different styles because of the way I grew up in competition. At first, I was strictly a Taekwondo guy, and then I got introduced to the Wuko side, where I had to do a little more of the Ishanru and expand myself. So I think that allowing myself, at least at that particular point in my career, to respect the different styles and then actually witness that on the set itself, I think internally myself, I think I did appreciate that. And I did understand the scope of the different styles and respect that what that brought to the table from entertaining factor and entertainment factor was a good mix. So I think that, again, similar to what Christine and Erik had said, it may not have been the intentional drive, but I think that unintentionally it was dynamic in itself.
Yeah, definitely. Master Bam, how about you, sir?
Yeah, I agree. You know, that wasn't our intention. What's up, Jamie Webster?
What's up?
Wow.
But I'm sorry, man. He just threw me off. He made me lose But
Wow.
that. I think just my welcoming him, I think that took precedence over everything else. We had such a great time. The camaraderie, the fun, the excitement, the family environment took precedence over the styles. I mean, you know, we were just happy to share ideas and techniques with one another. And as Erik said, I was just fortunate because I grew up in the city of Baltimore, so I was teaching myself martial arts and gymnastics. All the tricks I did, that was street gymnastics. So to be able to, you know, get formal certifications to legitimize my street martial arts and to be on TV, man, I just think it was just like a dream come true. But, you know, I think I was just honored to know that I was amongst such a historical moment with great martial artists like we have here and some that are not present, especially my man, Richie Brandon. God bless his soul.
Just want to welcome Jamie Webster, Great Wolf, to the show. Jamie, thank you so much for jumping on in here.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
You know, while I have you, I was just asking the rest of the group here what your attitude was when you were joining the show. Was it an opportunity for you to celebrate the different styles, or was it really more about just being a part of something purely entertaining for the fans?
Well, you know, a lot of the guys on the show had done other gigs, like he and Nguyen and Erik Betts had been, on a Power Ranger thing, and a lot of the other people had done other work, and this was like my first. I had done nothing else, so I was just honored just to be asked to, to do it. So it was great for me because all the competitors that I had competed with, now I'm working with them daily. It was just, you get to really know them as a person because you're hanging with them 15 hours a day, so you're working with them and eating with them, and it's like brothers. I mean, like martial art is supposed to be, like, family.
No, that's a great point, and I want to touch on that a little bit. Hakim, let me get you to start this one off. Then the show was part soap opera, part reality show, part video game, and for those of us who grew up with at the time it was called the WWF. To have martial arts in the spotlight like that was something really special. And I mean, if you think about it too, this was a distant prequel to what today's MMA is like. But all of you guys on the show, real martial arts skills. What was the energy like on set when you started to realize that you were gathered? You had gathered all of this skill in one place.
Okay, again, I'd say that's a interesting question. The energy. I think that if I had to kind of quantify energy, it was new. I think it was new for a lot of the different participants. I mean, we were, for the most part, I'm sorry, we were not entertainers in the sense of actors. We were competitors. So the energy that we brought to competition was always on a very intense level. even though Erik and may not have been on the competition circuit, he also brought a tremendous amount of intense energy to the fight scenes. I think that the learning curve was the acting piece of that, and I think that everyone knew that they had to bring their A game when it came down to trying to put together fight scenes. I know that we had different factions with with Pat Johnson coming with his particular style of how he choreographed things, and then you had oh my God, how am I forgetting the director?
Isaac.
Yeah, Isaac. How can I forget Isaac?
Isaac.
Right, and Isaac, and Erik and I'm sorry. They kind of came with a different style of energy. So I think that as we started to evolve beyond mid-season, the first season, and get one the second season, we actually were able to kind of put a lot of those different styles and those different energies of how we were actually able to put fight scenes together. I mean, even connect with each other in a very cohesive nature that actually made the show better. So energy-wise, I think we were competitors. I mean, we came ready, and I think that was the good thing about the show itself is it did kind of handpick some of the top competitors at the time. So with that being said, these guys were elite, so they knew how to bring their. So I get a lot of feedback, so forgive me, guys. I'll end it there because I've talked too much. Go ahead.
Not a problem at all. It's always good to hear the insight. Christine, how about you take that same question?
I would say very similar to what Hakim said. And it did depend on who was directing, if it was Pat Johnson or if it was Isaac. Totally different directors. I'm hearing that feedback too. But I think being competitors, we were very, that's our thing. And we're competitive. We want to, be the best out there. And I can be playing checkers and it's like, to the death match, we get very competitive out there and, we want our fight scene to be the best one out there. And I think that brought the high energy. And one thing I thought was really cool is when we were filming at Universal, a lot of times we would film while the park was closed if we used different sets, different rides, so to speak. And, we would be filming all night long and, it's 3:00 in the morning. We should be exhausted and falling asleep. But, the energy level, we would just like pump each other up and be, full of, as if it was, 10:00 in the morning. So we would be, a lot of energy on the set between the two directors that we had and just everybody that just worked together. And when we were offset, like Hakim said, we'd be having dinner together or going out. And, so we were together a lot. I mean, we were filming 15-hour days and, we still, you had high quality athletes there that had the endurance to go that long physically. It's hard to put in a 15-hour day at a desk, let alone when you're kicking and punching and trying to throw the best kick and the best punch and the best flip that you could possibly do 15 hours straight. So, I mean, it got intense, so, it was a lot of high energy. I mean, that's my answer.
Master Bam, with all that competitiveness in the air though, was that camaraderie as real as that competitiveness? You're muted, Master Bam.
Demetrius, can you hear me? Yeah, he was muting everything. All right, yeah, but I was saying you can tell from the energy right here. This is real. This is like real brotherhood, man. I mean, I think it came to a point where it's like if you took more than one take to get that fight scene in, you had to do some push-ups or something. Right, that came like, no, man, you can't be doing one take. It was so much fun, man. And Christine said technique. We were competitors, so your technique had to be sharp. Erik Betts doing the backflip, it had to look good, man. You can't just be doing anything. And that was I think the joy, the competitive spirit, the camaraderie, man. Sometimes it was cold nights. If you ain't had no shirt on, like somebody like me or Hakim, man, it be so cold out there, but you ain't gonna cry. You're gonna figure out what you need to do to get warm and let nobody see you over there freezing. But I don't know, man. It was like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I just think that, you know, iron sharpens iron, and that's what we did on that set. I don't recall any negative conflict or any ego. It was just nothing but love, camaraderie, upliftment, enjoyment, and all of us just putting forth the best. That's what was unique about the whole show for me.
That's really rare. That's special. That's awesome. Erik, how about you? Because you were self-taught, as you described, was there a genuine curiosity to really jump in there with both feet and learn from one another when you were on set?
So the interest, I love that question, first of all, because my first project I ever got to be a part of was a movie called Shoot Fighter, and I had the honor of meeting this brother, real tall, ripped up, shredded up, who looks like he was 6'3", 6'4", but fought at like 5'8", with a big ass foot, and it was Hakim. And Hakim taught me in that fight scene on Shoot Fighter that there are some amazing martial artists that you had never heard of out there, and there's a lot to be learned. And so, you know, going to self-taught schools, and, you know, where you get to do a 30-minute trial free class, or maybe a 1-hour free class, or if I'm lucky, a week. I needed so much more to compete with those guys on that level. Their kicks, their snaps, their punches, their everything, on top of their presence. It was an opportunity that I don't think I ever would have had without that experience. To be able to sit down and work with the great and mighty Perez, man, dude. Herb looks like my height, but kicks like Hakim. You know, Herb scared me. Herb also is a major Taekwondo martial artist. Obviously won the Olympic gold medal for '92 Olympics. And he doesn't telegraph. All I know is Hollywood Kung Fu. All I know is how to telegraph and sell it. So suddenly now what looks like a front snap kick is turning into a round kick and turning into something else. And I mean, it was the greatest opportunity to be around some of the greatest athletes without question. I learned so much from that experience and was extremely humbled. And yeah, man, I'm grateful for even to this day. I still remember plenty of opportunities that I've had in film and television these days where I reflect back to, like, how would Hakim do it? How would Murmur Chen do it? How would all these different characters do it, so that I can bring that to whatever I'm doing at the time.
That's great. Jamie, on that note, who in the cast maybe pushed you the hardest, and in turn, who do you think you influenced and, you know, had that give and take with on set?
I don't know if I influenced anybody. I remember the first day that I met Erik, my buddy Johnny Smith that played Tiger Claw, we grew up together, and he went actually down a few weeks before to start filming. And the day I was flying in, he said, well, when you get here, he said, we're off today. And he said, you're going to meet Ian Nguyen and Erik Betts, and we're going to go to the arcade. And so we played a Tekken video game. It was me and Ian and Erik and Johnny, and we played Tekken for a couple hours. And then I went to, you know, to Universal there. I got to see my costume. You know, it was the first time I'd worked on anything, so I'd never let somebody do my hair and makeup and things like that. And so, you know, it's just a really weird experience for me. But my first night that I filmed was March 2nd, 1995, and it was against Hakim. And you know, I get back to, you know, after 2 or 3 months of filming, I get back to my studio, and all my students are asking me, okay, are the fights real? And I'm like, no, they know who's going to win before they already have it staged out who's going to win. I said, but you know, the first guy I fought, the machine guy, I said, like, if we fought for real, I said, he would still kick my ass, because he's like 6'4" and 225 pounds. I said, he would kill me anyway. So I was fighting him. And I remember I was supposed to duck a spinning, I don't know if he calls it a spinning hook or a spinning wheel. We just call it a spin kick, but he threw a right leg spin kick, and he's so tall. he kicked me with the calf of his leg. Now, luckily, he did not hit me with the heel of his foot, but he hit me with the calf of his leg. And they had me wear my hair all stupidly the first couple episodes. I had it parted down the middle. It was parted down the middle and had braids. I looked like I was either kind of like on Little House on the Prairie with the Laura Ingalls look, had the two braids. And anyway, my hair was all matted down with product. And he hit me with the calf of his leg, and I heard my hair go like crunch, and I thought like he knocked my hair off. And anyway, he grazed me with the kick, and I fell to my knees and I thought, man, if that had hit flush, I mean, that would have broke my mouth. I mean, if he had hit flush. But luckily, it was just the calf of his leg, but that was my first night working. Was that particular fight scene? That was the first one.
Hakim, since he brought you into that, how about you? Was there somebody that pushed you and you in turn maybe gave more than a little bit of a nudge to?
You know what? I'm going to have to be a little PC on this here because I think that every character, every athlete there brought a different set of challenges, energy, skill sets that you had to kind of more around to a degree, or at least try to enhance. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do, I mean, because you're still trying to tell a story within the fight itself, it's important that arc works. It's important that you guys. It's not about me dominating someone or someone else dominating me. It's about how does the story work within the context of that fight scene. So I think that if I was fighting with Jamie, if I was fighting with Erik or Chris or Herb or whatever. I mean, it's important that I kind of feel the nuances of that particular fighter, find out what works, what makes them look well, and I think that happens within a scene, and show their strength, show my strength as well, and explore some of the weaknesses. So I think that to answer your question, without rambling too much, I think that each fighter and each athlete that you actually had the opportunity to work with, it motivated me, it inspired me, it made me better as a practitioner, as an entertainer, and just overall, from the standpoint of just working with them, I think that the motivation and the inspiration of that encapsulated within those different fight scenes.
Very cool. I'm going to take a second to welcome Herb Perez, Olympus right there.
Actually follow regularly, so I apologize.
No worries, sir. Thank you for joining us. Hang tight. Yep, we can hear you, sir. Hang tight. Be safe.
All right,
I'm gonna go to Christine on this next question really quickly, and then I'm gonna go back to you, sir. Christine, as one of the few women on the cast, how different was the experience for you? Just simply because you were a woman, amidst what was a heavily male show.
Yeah, I think that was the challenge, just trying to, the show definitely was geared more towards the guys, and, we didn't get as much screen time, so it was, when we did get that opportunity, we wanted it to be super exciting, and we wanted to put the best fight scene together that we possibly could. And, we had other times where we were actually playing the ninjas on the set. So, if we filmed our fight scene on one day, then the next day we were there and we were the ninjas for somebody else. So when we were playing the ninjas, of course, no one knows if you're a guy or a girl when you got all the costumes on and stuff. So, you had to make sure that you were tough enough to be able to take those hits from those guys and not be crawling off set and crying, So it was definitely a challenge, I think, as far as being one of the females, and getting the director, the producers excited enough to have us have more fights. I know Pat Johnson was really pushing for it a lot of times and trying to get, and I have a funny story is when I first met Norman and we were discussing my costume and everything else, he said, you know, we picture you as, you know, how about the Grace Jones look? And I was like, no. I'm like, no, I just can't do it. I'm like, if I'm gonna get fired from the show over this, I'm like, you know, I didn't know what his reply was gonna be and stuff, but we kind of came to a happy medium, and they shaved the sides of my head and did all kinds of glitter and stuff, which was the biggest pain in the neck every night, trying to get all the glitter off my head so I could get in bed and not have it all over and you know how it is with glitter, it just goes everywhere. So, you know, but that was a funny story when that's how he approached me and talked to me about my character and going with the complete bald head. And I was just could not picture myself with the bald head. But it was definitely a challenge, being one of the females on the show and stuff. Me and Bridget Riley, I think we were like the key females that were on there. You know, there were other people, Murmur Chen, and then we had Lynette Love, and I'm trying to remember who else, but just a few of the females compared to all the guys. And even when it came time for making the little characters in the toy stores, it always, you know, went to the guys first, and so we did have our challenges, but I think things like that make you stronger, and dealing with these guys, you know, they just motivated us to really work hard on creating great fight scenes for the spectators, for the audience, and helping out the guys as being ninjas.
That's great. And Herb, I'm going to address this question to you so that you can jump in with everything. With martial arts, race doesn't matter, gender doesn't matter, height, weight, all of it comes down to skill versus skill, and all the while acknowledging and accepting and respecting your opponent, right? So what did you bring to your character to kind of embody that attitude where it was just about respect and skill and really being that true martial artist?
I think we were fortunate that the writers of the show understood that, and I think they that was their reason for the show. So I can't remember a single time on the show where there was any discussion of style versus style as far as one being better than the other. So I think that, and quite frankly, I don't think it was ever a discussion about athletes being better than the other. What you found was it was about celebrating what martial arts was and excellence in general, as opposed to excellence based on style or individual. So there really, I don't remember there ever being a conversation, even among ourselves, about who was better or who was worse than the other. It was really more a conversation about this celebration of excellence and what it meant to be a Dragonstar competitor, and more importantly, what it meant to be a Dragonstar champion. And so we all kind of would look forward to that and wanted that to be one of the things that we were able to get. But I don't think there was really ever any negative discussion. The only time there was any negative discussion of martial arts came with the Jukido storyline, and that was planned to add drama to the show. So I think that was a good thing, and I think all the guys and all the girls, you know, we had some amazing women athletes on the show. Some present on the phone and some not here. So I think it was really a celebration of martial arts in general, and I would hope that would be what it was in the future, should it ever come back again.
Definitely, that would be great. Speaking of the Dragonstar, then the 8 points of the Dragonstar. I don't know if you guys remember this: discipline, courage, forgiveness, compassion, honor, wisdom, loyalty, and respect. In an ideal world, you know, the martial arts that we all study would embody all of that all of the time. I do feel like there was one point in time where martial arts was so commoditized that a lot of that was lost in the translation. Were you guys ever aware of that being lifelong martial artists? Do you remember that time where, you know, these McDojos would pop up and it wasn't martial arts the way that ideally you would want martial arts to be taught and learned? Master Bam, can you take that for me?
I mean, I think us as competitors, I think we always showed that towards each other. I mean, even if you lost, you still, you had to still go up and shake a hand and bow. Then you probably go back in the stands and probably cuss people out and yell and whatever, but you never showed it to the other martial artists, brother and sister. You never showed it to the kids that was watching you on the sideline. I mean, I just think that's as competitors, that's the side that they don't talk about. At least I could say during that time of NASCAR competition, everybody wanted the best for each other. You yelled for each other on the stage. You strived. I mean, even though first time working with Erik and even Herb on the show, we that's just that's what we embodied as martial artists. We always showed respect. You see how, I mean, Jamie, my man, I love everybody on here. But once again, you see how excited I was when Jamie got on here, like, yo, my man, I'm trying to do that to Herb, I can call any one of them, Christine or anyone. And it's like, if you need something, it's like, yeah, man, what can I do for you? Come up. I'm gonna set you up in a hotel. And maybe that is what's lost in the martial arts now. But back then, it wasn't lost. I mean, I tell you a real funny story. We used to always do shows together. And I remember one time I was doing a show with Christine. It was only a demo. I don't think she remembered it. But I was always this intense competitor. I always walked around with earphones. And, people thought I was mad and mean. And I'm listening to Snoop Dogg and, KRS-One and everybody just wanting to kill the world. And I remember one time I was doing a demo and Christine said, "Bam, why are you so intense? It's just a demo." I don't think she realized what she did, but she changed me for the rest of my life. So I was like, man, you're right. I don't have to be that intense, but I'm just doing a demo. I'm dealing with people, dealing with fans. It's okay to just be calm and cool. But, I could have got egotistical and said, who is she talking about? No, but she was my, sister in martial arts. So she was teaching me a lesson. And so many of them have done that for me. And I think, maybe today that is probably what's lost, but it's our duty as martial artists to be the example of it, and we can change it, and I think that's what the show allowed us to do. But it's not too late to fix some of those problems that you're talking about today that's probably obvious in martial arts schools, in the martial arts industry as a whole.
Erik, what about you? What's your perspective on that?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's interesting. Back in martial arts, back when I was going from school to school taking trial-free classes, I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna out somebody. There was a company called Fred Villari's. You guys remember that? Man, this white guy with a beard, and he'd punch it to the camera and go, "Are you tired of getting sand kicked in?"
I think he froze there. That looked like it was going to be a good story.
That's a good freeze right there too, man.
Jamie, let me have you jump in while Erik sorts out his tech difficulties there.
Question?
I'm sorry?
What was your question? It was about the McDojos?
Yeah, just your perspective on a time where I feel not necessarily now or not necessarily any time recent, but a time where the martial arts was so commoditized that it kind of lost sight of that the more noble aspects of it.
Well, from what once I was on the TV show there for a couple of years, I started getting a lot of calls for seminars. Like these other school owners from all over the country would call me and say, "Hey, I want Great Wolf to come to my school, and how much would you charge for like a weekend? I want you to teach a few classes. I want you to take pictures. I want you to sign autographs. I just want you to hang out at my school for, a couple of days. What's that going to cost me?" So, I mean, I was doing seminars every other weekend for, 2 years, going to all these schools. And there's some schools that most of the schools were just, they were average, above average, or good. You saw some that were, it was more like a belt factory, or the maybe the owners were in it just for the money. But I remember going to a school in Miami. It was called Better Families Through Taekwondo. And it was Mary Beth Perez and her husband ran a school. And it was probably the strongest school that I had been to at that time, as far as like for that particular style. They had a school. It was 300 or 400 members. Now, usually when you have 300 or 400 members, most of your most of your students are just kind of in the middle. Every school's going to have that one good one, that one guy or that one girl that can flying sidekick over a car or something. You know, they're going to have that one. But this particular school had 35 adult female black belts. Now, most schools don't have 35 adults in their program, much less 35 adult black belts. They had 35 women black belts, not teenage girls. And these women could do, like, every one of them straight up sidekicks. Every one of them had arms. They were so cut, they were so ripped. And I asked the owners, I was like, what do these ladies do? Like, they're all just ripped. And they said, oh, for their test, they have to do 100 push-ups. They have to do 75 without stopping, and then they can do the other 25. But I mean, they were it was a really strong school. But most schools, when I did all these seminars, were just, you know, they were okay. I mean, I always would get back and think, you know, am I going to go to a school where their students are way better than mine? Like, are their green belts are going to be better than my red belts or whatever? And I would come back and feel pretty proud that, hey, my students are pretty good. But that one school in Miami, man, they rocked. They were not a belt factory. They had a great program, a big school, but also great talent. So
cool. Erik, now that you're back, finish that story, sir.
Man, my phone, I don't know what's up. It's 100 degrees in LA and my phone to overheat and shut that call off. But so listen, here's the deal. I saw the advertisement for Fred Verlari. I didn't have any respect for the commercial. I thought they were making a pretty cheese ball, and at the time, you know, I had nothing but I was in awe of any martial art instructor. The idea that they actually knew how to protect themselves, the fact that they knew these forms that were passed down from generation to generation. And so I went into one of the studios to try a free trial lesson over there, and they were so prepared to advance you. It was scary to me to know that there were children out there who thought that they were martial artists or black belts. And so schools like that are a stain in the martial art world. And so I appreciated, you know, I never quite represented myself as being a martial artist. I've made it very clear, you know, I will make you look good getting your butt kicked. But, you know, as you start to study martial arts and get more into the art itself, you start realizing martial arts is more than kicks and punches and forms and weapons, but truly a way of life. And for that, it changed my life, and it taught me how to discover myself through movement. And so what I ended up learning as a result of going to these schools is how many people can spend an entire lifetime in martial arts and never actually learn who they are or how to find their own true art of the soul. So you got to watch out for schools like that.
Yeah, interesting. Herb, as a resident Olympian here, what's your take on that?
You know, at the end of the day, you know, when we came up, most of us came up in the martial arts. I think we're all roughly from the same generation. I think I'm older than probably a handful of the guys on the phone. You know, we came up during a different time when martial arts was, even to get into a school was difficult for us. And if you picked a certain school. So, you know, one of my instructors didn't take me when he first met me, thought my hair was too long. I was too short. I wasn't flexible enough. And so what you find now, and, you know, one of the things, not to discount any particular style or thing, is there's been a walk back from martial art uniforms, belts, rank, and all that kind of stuff. And just a basic respect of what it took to get to a certain level in the martial arts. So when that comes to that, and we're all, whether you walk in the gym the first day or the last day, and we're all equal, then you lose a certain amount of things that may be necessary in the future. So, you know, what one of my instructors had said, he said, you know, the way you treat your students now is the way your students will treat you when you're an instructor. Or the way you treat your parents now is the way your children will treat you. And that's really quite true. So when I got on the show, just by way of example, and to give Erik some credit, you know, Erik is solely responsible for my ability to do television at the level that these guys did it at, because he was my guru. You know, he was my master along with Isaac, and and taught me how to do Hollywood Kung Fu correctly and right, and everything that goes along with that, including being a ninja. And then all my colleagues on the phone now, they each played a part in my success. And I never forgot that. So that's why when you hear us talk about being there for each other, no matter what the situation or what the need, that's part of it. So that's one of the good things about being a martial artist, regardless of where you come from, what level you were at, and what you did. There is an understanding of the brotherhood, the sisterhood that occurs with that, and how it carries into the future. I think some of that is still in some of the martial arts, but I think the bravado and some of the big talking stuff that has come along with the MMA stuff has done a disservice to what we did as martial artists, what we do on a day-to-day basis. And there's still a lot of us on the phone that teach kids on a day-to-day basis and teach the life skills that I think are important to teach. So it would be nice to know that that is still the case, and that still is the case. So it certainly was for most of us, on all of us on the phone, and it certainly was for the generations of martial artists that came up under us. Let's hope that that continues to be the case as we move forward.
Yeah, definitely. Hakim, we're almost out of time here already, but let me go to you with this then. How would you encourage future Dragonstars who choose the martial arts path?
Let me fully understand the question. You said, how would I encourage future Dragonstars participants?
Yeah, if you met someone who wanted to take up martial arts first time,
okay,
how would you encourage them, knowing what you know, having been through what you've been through, being part of the WMAC Masters, and knowing that they've gotten exposure from, maybe they've gotten exposure from just from Hollywood, maybe they got exposure from a friend who was in it. How would you encourage them to fully pursue that martial arts path?
No, what I'm going to maybe layer that with a quick story here. I have been in Washington D.C. And one evening, a bouncer came up to me and said, "JT, like to say hello to you." And I looked at him like, "Who the hell is JT? You know who JT is?" Because I'm behind her, whatever. He says, "Oh, Justin Timberlake." I was like, "Oh, cool. I didn't realize the series back in the VIP section." So I went back there. And he's like, "Hey, listen, I don't want to, bother you running your club, blah, 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 but I just want to say, hey, listen, big fan. I used to watch you every Saturday morning on WMAC Masters. And I thought that, seeing you here, I didn't know if it was you, blah, blah, but I just said, I wanted to say, listen, I'm a big fan." I'm looking at this, and I'm like, Justin is telling me that he's a big fan. And the reason why I bring that story up, because I think that what we did as part of the show, and the writer would give them tremendous credit, I'm not participating on this call, is that we did try to do something that was a little bit larger than ourselves. Yes, we were competitors. Yes, we were entertainers, but we were trying to also deliver a message. And I think that a lot of the kids and some adults that tuned in actually really got the message. They got that. They received that information about the different qualities of the dress. So if someone comes up to me today and they're saying, "Hey, listen, I was inspired by you," or "I'm looking to pursue this as an art and as a growth life," then I say, do your homework. Do your homework, because you're right in alluding to the question that there are a lot of McDonaldized schools out there. They're not they are not going to deliver the core principles that are necessary, what the arts are really fundamentally about. So you really have to look at the instructor, you have to look at the environment, you have to look at the products, you have to look at students that are there that school has produced. So unfortunately, a lot of times people will go to karate schools that are convenient, and that's unfortunate. You really have to do your homework. Find an instructor who really gives I'll keep my words PG, but really is concerned about delivering the right principle and delivering the essence of what the arts are. Yes, it is about defending yourself. It is about being able to protect those who you care for, but also it's about developing who you are as a person, man, woman, or child. So look for that, and do your diligence. Find an instructor who embodies that. Interview the instructor. Before, as Herb said, the instructor would interview us. Now it's the other way around. Interview the instructor. Find out if they're delivering the correct message and the correct principles on the correct applications.
Good enough. Christine, I'll go to you. As a father of 3 girls, I'm interested in your perspective. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, I think as a female, it should be absolutely required, to learn martial arts. There's so many different things of date rapes and just, so many different things that we can handle ourselves. We can protect ourselves and we don't have to be victims. And it's definitely something essential. If I had daughters, which I don't have boys, but I would definitely make sure that they knew how to take care of themselves. Because you never know when something's going to happen. And just listening to the history, it's always the percentage where it's somebody that whether it's a family member or a boyfriend or something like that, that women get attacked. It's not always just a stranger walking down the street and avoiding those situations. So it's when your guard is down. So you need to know how to protect yourself. But like they said, martial arts is a way of life. And if I was meeting someone that wanted to learn martial arts and send them in the right direction or encourage them and tell them, where they should go or what they should do and what they should look for, it's a way of life. It's not just about kicking and punching. And like my instructor, who's my husband, always told me that we teach martial arts to the student. We teach it. Everyone is different. And, I had a student who made that black belt and he had MS. And towards the end of his life, he was in a wheelchair. It didn't really affect him that much at the beginning when he started training, but, the disease progressed. But that man in a wheelchair, you would never want to put a wrist lock on you or, an arm break or any of those techniques. His upper body strength was so strong, but his legs were not. So just because he couldn't throw kicks doesn't mean that he couldn't still progress in the martial arts, So we teach to the individual. And if you go to a school that says, well, if you can't do a full split or you can't kick straight up or you can't do this or that, you're not going to be able to test for your next rank. I would not recommend a school like that. You would want to go to a school where they're going to teach. It's not so much about the style. I'm not going to say, I'm a Kempo stylist. I'm not going to say go to a Kempo school because it could be any other style. Look for the instructor. Don't be so concerned about the style, but look at the instructor, how they teach. What characteristics do they have? What values do they teach? And how they teach? How do their students react to them? Are they respectful? And respect is earned. So, a lot of students that show respect, it's because that instructor really, really earned their respect. So those are the things I would probably tell someone that's looking into the martial arts. What they should look for is just really watch that instructor.
Good deal. And I want to get to everybody on this point because I think it's important. Jamie, how about you, sir?
Martial arts will give you what you are looking for. Like if it's an adult and they need to drop 25 pounds, martial art will help you get into shape. If you need to gain better balance and better flexibility, martial art will help you. If it's a kid who needs more discipline or greater confidence, or they're getting bullied, or whatever it is, if you get a kid that's having trouble focusing, they have a ADD or whatever, martial arts is going to help them get physically stronger, more balanced, better flexibility. It's going to help them with their respect, their discipline, their focus, and their attitude. It's going to help them get in shape. You could be losing weight, or you could take someone who's a little on the slender side, and it's going to kind of put some muscle on there, and therefore they're going to get confidence from there. So I think martial arts is going to give each person what they're looking for.
Nice. Erik, how about you?
I feel like Jamie pretty much wrapped that up in a bow for me. I mean, there was this old show I watched a million years ago of I think it was Swamp Thing or something, and he claimed the formula makes you more of what you already are. And that's what I feel like I discovered from martial arts. There was, I grew up a kid who was legally blind in both eyes, and oh man, I was a mess. Inner city kid, single parent household, low income everything. But I had I was raised and taught with such. When you don't have a lot, you end up learning. Those parents tend to fill you with all the components of the Dragonstar. You start learning the content of character. You start learning how important it is to recognize who you are, where you're going, to recognize that you don't know where you are and who you are here today until you know where you've been, to learn your history so you can start figuring out where you're going. And as a result of that, you start discovering, again, yourself, and you start learning that true voice that no one can teach you. You start learning things about yourself. I see people as automobiles, and you start learning the vessel that you're in. What kind of automobile are you in, and who are you behind that wheel? And it becomes a real cool journey of self-discovery.
That's great. That's great. Herb, what about you, sir?
I wanna be in Hakim Alston's automobile. I think he's in a Bentley right now. If I can tell from the exterior. So we're gonna talk about cars. And I'm like, man, that's a nice car. Just saying. So with all that said, the reason that I teach martial arts now, we each all have other things we can do. I'm a lawyer by training. I've done a lot of other things, served my community as a elected official. The one thing that I continue to come back to, and the fundamental thing I do, is teach martial arts. And the reality is that everything that we did on the show, that the life skills that we taught, and those kids that came up to us and still come up to us as adults and tell us that we transformed their lives, this is a result of the life skills. What my instructor taught me, what my other instructor taught me, has transformed the me I am. Like most of the people on the show, we all came from backgrounds that martial arts was. We gravitated to it because we saw a better life through it. And I gravitated towards it because I realized it was the one thing that would change my life. My instructor was a man who said yes was yes and no was no. He said yes, it was yes. If he said no, I didn't even think to question it. I just moved in that direction. He was right no matter what, whether he was right or not. And I think there's something that to be said for all of that. The reason we all are here, every single one of us on this phone, is not because we were extraordinarily talented, handsome, beautiful, smart, bright. We were all dedicated. We learned that dedication through the martial arts, perseverance, determination, patience. We learned wisdom as we got older, but we all were better for martial arts. So I like to believe that's why we continue to talk about it. It's why we continue to do it. And that's what we pass on. Every person on this call is someone that's passed something on to me that I can remember many different situations and many different interactions with them that they added to my world. And so not to steal Erik's metaphor, but that is really what it's about. We're on a path of constant transformation. And it's really a question of what we need from what we do. And there's something for everyone here.
Amazing. And the final word to the BAM, sir.
I think, Erik kind of like talked about teaching itself, and I think Herb was talking about MMA. I realized that in order to fix the problem and teach those values, I had to create something for me called Point MMA, where I can go back to these cities where these kids that are just like me, that are out there killing each other and dying. How can I teach them something that their parents in their neighborhoods are watching and paying money to watch as they sit there and smoke blunts and drink beer and celebrate MMA? How can I give them something that they into, but sneak in the values and the principles? I got to figure out how can I go amongst the evil and the negativity and give the hope and the opportunity to people, because that's what movies and films did for me. So that's why I do what I do. I truly believe that I'm on this quest where it's more about how can I prepare the next generation. Even though that things are broken, I still got to go out there and I got to give my all to prepare the kids even more outside the dojo, just as well as I prepare those inside my dojo,
Yeah.
and that's my quest there.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. It's all about humility and respect for me. I'm humbled to have been in all of your presences here, and I respect everything that you guys have done for martial arts. And I'm going to say thank you for WMAC Masters, and thank you for continuing to preach the martial arts to the world. I'm going to throw it back to Demetrius. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Demetrius, you're on mute.
Thank you, my brother. I'm up there trying to produce, direct, edit at the same time. But I want to thank each and every one of you, great martial artists and individuals, for being a part of this Martial Artists for Solidarity panel. I believe the martial arts has a lot of what the world needs today. And I'm just grateful that you all are continuing to pave that path for the future generations. I don't know if you saw a lot of the comments. I try to jump up, but people are still excited about WMAC Masters. They're hoping that we get a Blu-ray set. We're hoping for a lot of things. What I would like you guys to do, if possible, if you can leave your social media in the chat so that people, because you have a lot of fans out there, a lot of fans who are inspired by what you've done. And at this point, a lot of adults who have children now, who pass on those same values of what we learned. You know, we tell our kids, okay, well, you have this, well, we had WMAC Masters, you know, so we're very proud of the work that you've done. I'm very grateful for taking the time out. And once again, thank you so much. And for those who are going to stick around, 10 o'clock tonight, we got Rumble in the Bronx, our watch party feature for this evening, but we're going to keep it going all the way till Sunday. So let me say happy Father's Day to those who are fathers on the panel right now, because not too many people care about dad. You know, at the award show, they ain't thinking their dad. They like, I want to thank mom, and they forget all about dad. We get draws and socks, and that's it. We get some draws and socks. And, you know, give me what I asked for, and that's it. But you gentlemen are leading the way for destiny, for some young person, you know, who gets to see you guys. And we're passing on the DVD sets to our kids and our kids' kids and so forth. So we're so grateful that you guys were a part of this, what I would like to call a phenomenon called WMAC Masters. And I hope I can get you guys all together again in November, because I think it's important for us to pass on our history. And you guys are a part of our history. You guys not only a part of martial arts history as champions in the martial arts, but you're also part of cinematic television history as well. And that's what these spaces are about, where we are a pop culture based event that focuses on action and, of course, diversity within the genre. So we would definitely like to have you guys back in November to just to continue to pass on the heritage of WMAC Masters. So once again, thank you guys. Thank you for everyone who joined us. And until next time, please be safe. Us.
Love you guys.